Having a good one. What's good? What's good? What's good? My man, Rick Ritchie, thank you for letting me know that you invested in yourself today. So, this past week was an upper than a downer, I guess, right? I mean, institutional investments and market movements, regulatory and legal developments, technological advancements, market volatility and strategic moves. I mean, think crypto punks going for nice prices and memes going down a bit. International collaboration, risks and challenges, corporate treasury strategies, a renaming by Ethzilla. It was 180 Life Sciences. Think about that. The name of the company was 180 Life Sciences. And now it's Ethzilla. Yeah, let that one wash over you for a bit. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of news that everybody just totally forgot about. And why is that? Well, we had the interest rate, the federal interest rate remained steady, which shouldn't have an effect, right? Then you had the bomb go off. What was the bomb? Oh, that was merely the jobs report and the adjustments. Yeah, reality kicked in. And I think a lot of people lost their minds, including, the new regime. Why? Well, nobody controls the math, right? Nobody controls the math. So the math is what it is. But usually when that report comes out, it's an estimate. And they overestimated. Why did they overestimate? I don't think it was a matter of overestimating. I think it was more of a matter of nobody knew we were going to have those kinds of cuts. That's what happened. Right? I explained the other day that a lot of these companies, what they do is instead of filing a notice to whichever state that they're in about the layoffs and things that they're going to have, what do they do? They just make the cuts and pay the fine. The reason why they want to do that is because if you start doing the cuts in waves, which is what normally happens, right? But if you start doing those cuts in waves and you notify the street, it's a negative on the stock sentiment. So nobody wants to do that. But if you make the announcement, we're going to lay off this many and we've got a stock buyback, or we had great revenue, it's a positive because it says you're cutting costs, right? Yesterday I went through and I even showed you guys a whole bunch of places, a whole bunch of companies that had layoffs, but then turned around and filed thousands of H-1B visas. Actually didn't even file thousands. They filed thousands, but got awarded thousands, right? So you could have put in 10,000 of them, but only right now you've only got, 5,000 approved. That's usually what happens. It's a lottery system now because so many companies are trying to outsource their jobs. And I think that's what people miss. So that projection is based on, we don't have any notices, so we're really not expecting, if we're expecting this kind of job growth, we're not expecting these kind of job cuts, right? So the math comes as the math comes. You're not changing the math. Maybe what you need to do is change practice, right? Like it shouldn't be allowed that companies have so many layoffs and then immediately turn around and file for those H-1B visas. Sometimes it's vice versa. They're already filing for the H-1B visas and then firing people. And I'm just trying to understand, how do you get there from here? How does that work in your head that I'm going to fire this developer who's here and I'm going to import that developer? Yeah, because that's what that means. They're going to import bodies to do work, right? That somebody was already here doing. Yeah. Even the companies that they outsource to, thousands of H-1B visa applications. Thousands. And you sit back and you just go, how do you require, out of 10,000 jobs that you've cut, think Microsoft, Meta, right? How is it you're asking for thousands of external people to come into the country to do that job or those jobs? You mean to tell me out of all the jobs that you're seeking to fill, you couldn't find one U.S. citizen to do that job? It is 100% based on greed. Why should I pay you $100 when I can pay that person $30? Now, what I didn't say yesterday is that with prices expected to go up, including in energy prices like electricity bills, I think you're going to find less people willing to move here because things are so expensive. The whole point of moving here, and it's temporary, the whole point of moving here temporarily is to make as much money as you can and then send that money back home, and then you go home to all that money. Especially in India. So, but if you have to come here and your electric bill is almost as high as your rent, believe it or not, in some cases, could be higher. You are unable to send back that money, right? And there's a problem. So how many people are going to be here and say, I'm not making enough money to be away from my family for so long. I'm just not going to be able to bankroll that money. So at some point, there's even going to become a problem with H-1B visas. It's just a matter of when will that happen. Getting insurance for everything is going to go higher. It's going to be more expensive to live in the United States for many reasons. Food prices higher. Electricity higher. Insurance higher if it exists. Some of you have already seen your electric bills go up. And they'll go up again. So it's not just me. You haven't seen food prices go down. I mean, you're still seeing food companies have high revenue, high profit. Why are you still having high profit? Shouldn't you be within a margin? But they're not. They're beyond. So they're making big money. What does that mean? Oh yeah, they're increasing prices, decreasing product size, things like that. So the jobs numbers hit, and it basically said the economy is not what everybody thought it was. The jobs market is not what everybody thought it was. You have people pounding the pavement looking for work that used to work in factories, used to work in manufacturing plants. Why don't they? AI, robotics, automation. I was taking notes earlier. And you already have drivers that are losing, that don't have jobs. You have gas station technology that's going to make it so that you no longer even pump gas. A robot does it for you. Yep, there's that's going on. You have fast food restaurants where 100% of the food being made is made by robots. AI, automation, robots. That's what we're talking about. And you sit back and you go, what? Yeah. These are all technologies that are already out there. Already out there. Taxes. You know how you go to your tax person and they do your taxes for you? I go to a CPA. You know, sooner or later, those jobs are going to go bye-bye too. Professional services is going to take a hit too. Big companies are expecting white-collar jobs, to drop by a minimum of 20% by the end of next year. Drop. I saw an interview with the CEO of Salesforce, and he said already 30% of the coding that happens at Salesforce is not done by a human. 30%. Now you think, that's not a lot. 30% done by AI. What does that mean? It means a whole lot of people got laid off or are about to. It's to be expected, is what he said. Wow. Let that wash over you a little bit. So all the other news that happened over the past week, you forgot about it once you got that jobs report. Because that jobs report hit hard. It was like 2 or 3 months worth of adjustments, averaging about 21,000 jobs a month. It's far off from where we need to be. It's 1/10 from where we need to be. So everybody forgot about, ARK Invest making money off of Coinbase by selling some shares, made about $105 million or so. Ethereum surge, well, it's dropped since, so that surge, forgot about it. Bitmine's aggressive expansion, yeah, that's a great thing, except who cares? Jobs. You see how quickly everything turns to jobs? You want to know why the new regime lost his mind? Because it says that from day one, he's been losing jobs. He's picked up right from where he left off. And I'm not saying to be political. I'm saying it because it's fact. Just saying, it's not pretty. And I'll tell you something. No matter who the president is, no matter who the president of the United States is, let's even make that broader. No matter who, wherever you are, you need that person to be successful for you and your country. You need that person to be successful for you and your country, not just be successful for themselves. So it's a problem. Something else happened that, freaked people out in Germany. So somebody was arrested. A German court ruled that using known wallet passwords to transfer crypto without authorization may not constitute a criminal offense, creating a legal loophole in blockchain theft cases. It's a law that's already on the books. I know the password. How did I not know the password? How did I get the password? That's not the point. I know the password and I transferred it out. So what? Now you got to come up with a different crime? It's not the stealing of the value. It's the stealing of the password. Is that it? Germany's got a problem. It wasn't that long ago that Germany had that other problem where they had a municipality that had to sell Bitcoin before it shot up. They had no choice. So they had to dump on the market. Remember that? The whole market tanked. Because the law said they have to dump. Wow. So there are macro events, and this is what I was trying to tell you guys. There are macro events that can affect our bags that we don't know about. We don't see that coming. They're called unknown unknowns. So now you understand why I keep telling you guys, you need to have your risk framework so that you know how to react during certain things. You should know what your triggers are. If it's 10%, okay, I'm going to move. I'm going to do something. I have a plan of action. Operative word, plan. No plan? Well, the expected outcome is failure. So there's a lot. And there was a lot of good news that happened. eToro's tokenized stocks. They're talking about tokenizing hundreds of stocks 24 by 7 trading of tokenized US stocks and ETFs. And you sit back and you're kind of like, damn, that was good news. Yes, it was. It adds to the list of companies that are offering tokenized US stocks. Remember Robinhood, OpenAI? And then overseas, you had a company that was doing it in Europe, and it involved BlackRock stock. That didn't happen over the past week, but that happened previously. So we got a whiff of what was to come. It was just a matter of when, where. So that was some good stuff. Tokenized bonds on BSV. The BIS report highlighted tokenized government bonds on scalable blockchains, aiming to unlock $1.9 trillion by 2030. Yo, Captain Banana, thank you for letting me know that you invested in yourself. And that's right. Failure to plan is planning to fail. Straight up. And we've had crazy market volatility this week. Crazy market volatility going like this, but existing within a specific band. Well, we broke that band and we broke it going down. Not a happy situation. Right now, Bitcoin's at about 114. So it was all the way down to 111, 110, 111, and it's battling back up. It's all the way up to 114. But remember, the all-time high is 123. For all those people that are freaking out, how can I say this? Excuse me. It's been weeks since Bitcoin was below 100. Many a week. So I'm not going to lose my mind because we went from 123 down to 110 and we're battling back up to 114. I'm not going to be upset. Did I DCA? Yes. Did I take some of my dry powder and use it? No, not yet. I mean, I increased my DCA just a little bit. But that didn't actually have to come out of my dry powder fund. Dry powder is separate. I think of my dry powder as break glass during emergency. Right? That's how I look at my dry powder. And dry powder is either for an emergency, that's bad, or it's because I think the markets have tanked and I have a way to get in and make money. And that usual drop, it's usually short term. In my case, the way I look at it. Ham's house, what's going on? Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. The GMB3, Ham's house. That's right, Captain Banana, sprinkle. Over time, doing that sprinkle, the market goes up. Over time, the market does go up. So that sprinkle winds up going up. You wind up being in the positive. Now, if you could take advantage when things go down, well, take advantage. What other news do we have? We had CryptoPunk's floor price has a new floor price of $200,000. It was way below that. That equates to 163% increase in the floor price. I'm telling you, so there was positive news that was going on. Curious news, something like, I don't know, India and Brazil making a $20 billion tech pact. India, Brazil. That's the India, Brazil. How'd that happen? Nice swing. Somebody was at the tee. And I just sit there and just kind of go, there was a lot of good news for us to pay attention to. Lamo Pay in Laos and Vietnam, the bilateral mobile payment app streamlines cross-border transactions supported by AI-driven e-commerce and CBDC exploration. Yeah, those are things. CBDCs are still happening. Something for us to pay attention to. So yeah, I'm looking at all this and I'm saying to myself, there are massive opportunities out there. But that doesn't mean you massively panic, which a lot of people did, and they oversold. They oversold in the space they shouldn't have sold in. Tech stocks took a hit. So because tech stocks took a hit, crypto took a hit. But even though they're two very separate spaces. A lot of VC money left tech to go into essentials. It's coming. There are people out there that will not invest in an organization unless at least 50% of their revenue comes from outside the United States. Yeah. So you can see things coming. So how am I hedging? Crypto. Money in a bank? Just enough to pay bills. Everything else is an investment vehicle. My money being invested to make money for me, not my money being saved to make money for somebody else. That's the difference. So that's what I'm paying attention to as of late. It's no joke. It's crazy out there. It's absolutely nuts. Then you've got cross-collateral risk, Gemini's expansion of cross-collateral options like XRP, SHIB, increased liquidation risk for volatile tokens, urging traders to use lower leverage. There was something, I forgot who it was by, but they were doing 125x. 125x. Have you lost your mind? I think the biggest problem that we deal with right now is the gamification of investment. Whether it be stocks, bonds, options, crypto, the gamification of investment is a problem. Because then people aren't really thinking, they're guessing, they're gambling. They're not truly weighing risks. They're not trying to understand how do they react when the market is going up. How do they react when the market is going down? Some people are like, oh, I know how to react when the market is going up. While the market is going up, have you had an issue DCAing? Oh, it's going to be so expensive. Maybe I should wait until it comes down a little bit. And I don't know. Your risk framework helps you with that. It helps you understand what your reaction can and will be during good times and bad. And I try to explain that to people. I try to explain it to people like all the time. And, they freeze when the market's going low. They freeze when the market's going high. They kind of want to be in that middle space area. And it's kind of like, that's not. And those are the same people that have lettuce hands, right? That freak. These are the same people that if it goes up a little bit, they're trying to pull their profits. And it's like, why are you doing that? It's too soon. Why are you doing that? And so that stunts growth. I told you before, I think August is going to be a painful month, and thus far, it has proven to be true. From day one. However, do I expect September to pick up? Yeah. I expect it to pick up big. Unless, unless there is one thing, there is a problem. Unless the tariff deals that were announced turn out not to be deals. Remember, announcements were made, but nothing was inked. Everybody's forgotten about that. Everybody's forgotten that your new regime came out and said something, but those countries were like, no, that's not what we recall. We recall offering you hundreds of billions of dollars as a loan. Let that wash over you for a minute. Other countries are going to loan us money. That sound right to you? Well, yeah. $38 trillion in debt. Well, that kind of sounds all right. And then everybody starts scratching their head. Well, wait a minute. If we're taking money, if we're taking loans, how are we sending out all this money? How are we spending so much money as a government? Something that made me scratch my head, and it's kind of typical of the government, doesn't matter who's in office or whatever. There are a couple of things that made me scratch my head. The plane from Qatar, when the new regime leaves office, he's allowed to take that plane with him. The taxpayer will be upgrading that plane. And then he gets to walk away with it. And the upgrade's going to be about $900 million. Between 900 and $1 billion. How's that for nuts? And then $200 million for renovations at the White House? Huh? Interesting. When I look at the U.S. government and blowing money, unnecessary trips, that costs us millions. To launch a new golf course? Why? You're the president of the United States. Why are you launching golf courses? In a country that doesn't like you. And it's not about liking the new regime. It's about how they feel about the United States. Remember, he represents the United States. And the United States called war, economic war with the rest of the world. For good or for bad. No, Captain Banana, I wish I could make it up, but you're right, I cannot. These are real numbers. Real numbers. Our government is having issues with money, which is why I tell people, I firmly believe you are going to have to invest just to make ends meet. And when I look around the world, there was an article that I put out last week, and it was about the business sentiment in the UK. How it's at its lowest point since 2016. Think about that. It's not just the United States that has an economic problem. Around the world has an economic problem. Nobody is in a good place right now. And something else that hits home hard, 15% tariffs that are already reflected in some stores. I have seen so many people posting online about how they're finding tag prices on garments and then looking up at the rack price, and the rack price is like 25% more. This is Walmart that I've seen these videos. Walmart, Target. Procter & Gamble came out last week and said, oh, we're going to immediately raise prices. Tide, Charmin, think Procter & Gamble, all their products increase prices. Specifically because of tariffs. Tariffs are not paid for by people outside the country. They're taxes on people inside the country. I don't care what anybody says. That's exactly what it is. Anybody saying something to the contrary is absolutely wrong. Now, when those tariffs hit, remember, everything happens at different stages. The exporter could lower their prices. Will they? Most likely not. Right? because my price is my price. You're just going to have to afford it. You have to exercise immense buying power. And clearly with Walmart raising their prices for certain things, they don't have that kind of buying power. The idea of tariffs forcing things to come back to the United States in terms of manufacturing, that's not happening. That's not happening. So yeah, do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. And while you're at it, upgrade your skills, because you're going to need to keep your job. You're going to need to be able to keep your job. And if you're already in between, you're going to have to look better than everybody else. Not trying to be funny, being honest. That's got to be a thing. I know it's painful. I know it's not easy. But there's a lot. There's a lot to contend with. So yeah, I was looking at the news. I dropped a lot of articles this past week. Some good, some bad. A lot of information running around out there. I think I posted like 86 articles, something like that. But the fact is that once the job numbers hit, everybody just freaked. Now, could that be different tomorrow morning? Could that be different tonight when Asia opens up? The stock market opens up? Could sentiment change? Possibly. I think a lot of people are probably sitting there saying, yeah, probably oversold. And the people from the crypto side will start going, oh my God, what did I do? I must be out of my mind. Let me go get that back. So I think you're going to see people get back in. It'll all be based on, where the opportunities are. Right? I mean, on the loser side, trying to see who would be good to get in. Not much on the loser side. Leo, if that's what you're into, Leo could do it. Who's on a winner side that I'd be looking at? Actually, I should just be looking at the top 250. I should bring you guys with me, right? Yeah, let's probably do that. So if I'm looking at the top 250, let's do it by rank. So look at Bitcoin. This is the price that it's at right now, 114. It's only 0.0. It only has an X factor, a GMB X factor of 0.08. Now you know why I'm saying I'm not freaking out. I have not lost my mind. 0.08. Just saying. Ethereum, 0.40. Even Ethereum, 0.25. Right? Solana's at 0.82. BNB is at 0.14. Wow. So you look at some of these opportunities and you're kind of like, oh, so where are the opportunities? Well, if you think, some people do invest in Tron. If some people thinking about Doge, Cardano, Hyperliquid. Look how far Hyperliquid is off, 0.30. You still have to figure out your math on on which one of these projects you think is going to have a good enough upside where you can actually make money. Sui's only off 0.56. It's got a GMBX factor of 0.56. So when I look at these opportunities, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at them as opportunities. I'm saying to myself, when I see those kinds of GMBX factors, I'm calm. Me personally, I'm calm. I'm absolutely calm. And then I move into the next stage. I'm looking at things like Cardano. Why? Because look at Cardano's GMBX factor, 3.27. I have a little ways to go before it hits its all-time high. So yeah, I could look at Cardano and be happy. It's down over 10%. It was over 80 cents the other day. Just the other day. What, just last week? So yeah, I can get in at 72, and if I believe that it's going to hit 80, am I not gaining 10%? Over 10% if I just hit 80? Yeah. Yeah, people are talking about China rejecting Bitcoin again, and I don't know if it's FUD or not. I think it could be FUD. I haven't taken a deep dive. As far as I'm concerned, if I can do things in Hong Kong, I'm not worried about China. And think about it. If China said no to Bitcoin, okay, that's their loss, right? But I don't think China would do something like that, considering they've got mining happening over in China. You tell by the hash rate. So go look at the hash rate that's happening in China. Look to see if it's dropped or gone up, just remain steady, and then I'll tell you what's going on in China. So you have another way of verifying the information. Right? But yeah, I mean, I think there are opportunities out here where you can make some money. I think Stellar, look at that, at number 15, it's been coming up steadily. Stellar, 1.21 GMB factor. Would I invest in Stellar? Of course I would. Absolutely. I have a bag. Absolutely have a bag. But me getting in was, it's going to hit. And I said, okay, I'm going to wait. And so Friday night, yesterday, sprinkle. My sprinkles happen after Friday. Why is that? A lot of people sell on Fridays. Unless there's something truly positive going on. A lot of people sell on Fridays, take that profit. So just an idea. Don't forget, today's question is, have you invested in yourself today? 60% said no, 20% said no, 20% said doing it right now, and 60% said yes. Appreciate all of you. For those of you that said no, get up off your butt. Or for the person that said it, get up off your butt. And if you're still here, and I've been on, for 38 minutes, well, that means you fulfilled your goal. You've done your research today. You've invested in yourself today. For all you big baggers out there, next Sunday, a week from today, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the next big baggers meeting. You should have already received an email about it. So put it on your calendar. So yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot that I'm contemplating, and I'm expecting things to kind of cool off tomorrow. That panic attack that everybody had on Friday, I think people will start to cool off. It's not to say that everything is going to shoot back up, but I think everything will become a little less volatile as everybody starts to review, well, what do those numbers actually mean? And a lot of people have already, like I had already said, there's going to be a rate increase in September. Well, this all but guarantees it, right? All but guarantees a rate increase, a rate cut in September. Okay. I could deal with that. But I've already factored that in. The question now is it a 25 basis point cut or is it a 50 basis point cut? I'd rather see 25. I know people are freaking out. Oh my God, it should be 50. I mean, heck, it should be 75. No. You don't overreact in situations. Overreacting can be just as bad. You don't overreact. Look at everything that's going on. The jobs number says that it is not a normal job market out there. AI is hitting harder than people think. The AI job apocalypse isn't coming. It's already here. Don't believe me? Ask those 8,000 human resource people that got fired from IBM because IBM has an AI, basically agent that handles it all. That's a lot to contend with. That is a lot. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do me a favor, smash the likes. Tell everybody about this community. It's the only one that's actually thinking about how you should be reacting and how you should be learning when the market's going up and when the market's going bad. Remember, the GMB3 is a very big deal. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. Don't go making moves on a whim is what that means. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of my day. I hope you do too. Thank you very much. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.